Hey guys, Joe Pye here at Advanced Innovations, and I gotta tell you, sometimes the planets line up and timing is everything. I was just warming up my CNC machine this morning and checking YouTube while the machine was running, and I got a request from username or screen name Tim Briggs. So Tim, if you're watching this, buddy, this one's for you. I gotta pop a bunch of really small holes in the end of this plate, and you can see by the looks of this heat sink, I believe it is, that there is considerable work done to this part right now, and the last thing you want to do is snap off a tap at this stage of the game. So I have to run a bunch of M3, they're metric holes, M3 by 0.5, very small, but the technique that I'm going to use to put the holes in the end, or excuse me, the technique I'll use to thread those holes is exactly what Tim had inquired about. So let me pop a couple of holes in this, we'll come back, and I'll show you exactly how to run a small tap down into a hole with an incredibly reduced risk of breaking that tap off. Oh, and for you CNC guys with multiple devices on your machines, this little nifty setup right here is what I call my bridge. A couple of real heavy blocks on either side of the component. I've removed the center vise, and I have a 1x2 bar running across the machine that acts as my banking surface for taller parts. You've seen me do this in a manual mill, basically the same way, but the blocks are flat and the part hangs off the back. It's a great little setup to have if you have the time to make one. Highly recommend it. All right, let's get to the holes. Okay guys, here's the little attachment that we are going to use. A simple piece of steel with a hole drilled in it. It's going to be used as the stop. This can ride up and down, and for exceptionally small taps like 080s or below, I actually use just this depth stop attachment as the driver, because the smaller the tap gets, the smaller the driver I want to use. But this little knurled handle right here, this little knurled knob comes in real handy. It's 1 inch in diameter. It's about 3/8 of an inch thick. Coarse knurl on it, but wire wheel it, because if you don't, your fingers are going to end up like raw meat. And as with any small tap, as you are driving it in, once you feel resistance and it starts getting that springy feeling, the flutes are loading up, and it's really important to back it out and clear the debris out of the flute and then continue. It's a whole lot quicker to clear debris out of the flutes of a tap than it is to make the part over or dig out a broken tap. All right, let's pop this thing in the machine and we'll run a hole, show you how it's done. Actually, I have 2 of these. There you go. I have 1 plug tap and 1 bottom tap. And I usually write on the back side P or B, depending on which is which. You could even stamp yours, I suppose, if you wanted to. It's got a single 1032 cross screw in it. Just applies pressure to the shank of the tap, and away you go. Handy little things if you want to take a couple minutes out on your lathe, knock a couple of them out. Guarantee you'll use them 1,000 times. If you're going to use a tap guide, a spring-loaded tap guide, either in a CNC or a manual, and you're going to set a stop or an offset height for that, be sure that when you do this, that you do it with the tool compressed. As you can see, this is spring-loaded. Compress the plunger and put your tap on it. Make sure your tap clears your part. This way you can get the tap underneath of it, and you can get the tap out after the tapping operation. That would be your tool height 0. Now once you're sure that your hole is clear of any chips in the bottom and your tap guide is positioned accordingly, lift the plunger on the tap guide and allow the tap guide to drive the tap into the hole. Now simply by turning the knurled wheel, the tap guide will keep that tap on line with the hole. And as you can see, there's a little bird nest forming underneath the stop. make sure that you use an air hose or a pick or whatever to get that out of there. Before taking this hole to its final depth, or that debris will leave an imprint on the face of your part, and cosmetically, not so much. There we go. That was a 3mm hole by 0.5 on the pitch, 6mm deep, guaranteed. It's a great little attachment, guys. If you don't have one of these little knurled wheels, make them. You can make them in a variety of different sizes. And about a 150 through hole with a 1032 set screw on the side is all you're going to need. Make it between an inch and 1.25 in diameter, and the thickness really doesn't matter. Thicker is going to be more comfortable for your fingers, but the smaller the diameter, probably the smaller the tap. That's it. That's all we got. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.